So this will constitute a meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals, Town of Cohasset. It's Thursday, October 5th, and it's now at 6:08 p.m. in the evening. Sitting as the Zoning Board of Appeals are myself, Woody Chittick, as chair, Charlie Higginson, Michael Dickey, and Lee Darst. So, who on the board would like to make any sort of overview comments before we take a vote? And of course, the vote need not be unanimous, and probably won't be.
Would you, there were a couple of tweaks. Did you get everything updated today?
I didn't get anything.
Oh, God. All right.
But I don't think, Tom, that probably, I mean, all right, I'll make my editorial comment. I think
Everything that was tweaked was what you heard at the planning board hearing a week ago.
okay, well,
and last
we
night
still
we
have
just-
to see all that, but obviously a lot of this or bits and pieces are coming back both to us and then the town meeting in, I'll say May, but the spring meeting.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, further refinements to Articles 4 and 5. Because I think everybody understands that the primary focus of getting ready for this town meeting was to reorganize the bylaws and take all those dangling participles and put them in a, you know, kind of a common place, which is considerable. Yep. Now there's some updates and some things. There's nothing in my estimation that's absolutely fatal here, but there are updates that should be made, and I think I'd like to at least argue, not tonight, but argue during the hearings for further refinement in the accessory dwelling unit. We've got to discuss large home reviews in terms of, you know, where the town should go with those, and a few other things. But we have 6 months. Yeah.
But
so I don't.
Nothing we finally voted on wasn't anything new that you didn't hear last week. We just basically.
Okay, and if for some reason, and I'm not accusing anybody, but if some reason something slipped through and wasn't addressed, we have 6 months to, you know, identify it and discuss it.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Woody, I think I heard you say this was for the spring meeting. It was my understanding that they were trying to get it for this fall meeting at end of November.
Oh, I'm sorry. I probably wasn't clear. What is before the fall meeting in November is primarily a reorganization of our bylaws. Use regulations are scattered throughout 50 or 60 pages of the bylaws, and they've been sort of assembled, making Article 4 long, but really reflective of what's already in the bylaws. Yes, there were some changes and tweaks. I think that, though, Charlie, is going to be dealt with more fundamentally in the spring meeting. I mean, we have obsolete definitions and things. No sense taking the time here, but I think we can clean that stuff up. And, you know, if we have the town agree that the reorganization is a positive. So, yeah, Articles 4 and 5 and goodness knows other things, 2 and 12 or whatever, will be before the town meeting in some fashion in the spring, not as a total overhaul, but further improvements. I mean, Tom, that's my understanding.
Yeah. The more substantive changes are coming in the spring.
Yeah.
But
not that there isn't little tweaks of substance in here, but the big stuff will be in the spring.
Does that answer your question, Charlie?
Not exactly. I'm interested in the little tweaks that we don't have substance, but when you look at them closely, do. Are they going to be? Are we voting tonight as to whether we approve them? And my hearing at the meeting of the planning board was the judge was coming back with some new language. I have not seen that new language, and I have grave difficulties in voting for language that I have not seen.
In what respect?
What?
In what respect have you not seen something? And then maybe I can
Uh,
address it.
For example, the width.
Lot width, we decided it will be similar to what it is now, is that it will be the lot width definition itself is simply sideline to sideline. But then as applied in Article 5 in the table of dimensions, it has to meet the lot width, the minimum lot width at the point where the building is closest to the street.
Primary building.
The primary, yeah, the primary building. And then the pork chop section has to be at least as wide as the frontage, so.
At
pork
any
chop.
point, but Charlie's making a good point. We ought to see the language. There's no
I
there's no
understand that,
reason
but I
why we
can't-
can't see the revised language.
And it was distributed, the judge distributed the update this afternoon. I can't.
Well,
be
she
on-
may
I
have, but
know,
it
and
didn't
I
come to
didn't
me.
see it this afternoon because it wasn't shown to me.
You know, I can't help that if staff doesn't.
Well, then maybe the vote is premature. Maybe we make a vote at the floor of town meeting. I mean, I do think
But
there is a proper procedure.
what the language reflects is what was discussed and decided last week at the planning board's hearing.
Okay, but you're asking this board to approve something it hasn't seen. It's heard.
I can't help
Sure,
that.
but it was on the fly. I mean,
I
good
can't-
job, but she was, coming up with some suggested language, but I think the board ought to see the language that's going to town meeting.
I can't help that, you know.
I know, well, you're not responsible for distributing a redraft, but we haven't seen it.
Right.
Mike, what's your take on it? Because you sit on both committees, or the ZBC as well as ZBA.
Yeah, no, I look, snafu is a snafu, and I don't think this is the time or the place to start fingers, but I sympathize. I wouldn't feel comfortable on vote on stuff that I haven't seen. Even obviously, I think Tom's correct that, it's the changes reflect the discussions we've had and you've all been a part of. If you haven't seen the language, you haven't seen the language, and I'm not gonna. I think it's perfectly legit to say.
And also, Mike, we have a policy that the zoning board does not react to or respond to language that we're getting 24 or 48 hours in advance. If anything was sent to us this afternoon, it's 2 days too late, as far as I'm concerned. Lee, what about you?
I agree that we should see it. I also think it's important when it's presented at town meeting that as much as we can be, that we're all in agreement for anything instead of dissenting, because if the warrant shows that we are not in agreement to it, then I think it really affects how the people at town meeting vote. If
Right,
we
but I don't think the
agree on
warrant can,
something,
but the warrant can't reflect how we're voting, because I'm hearing sentiment that we're not going to take a vote. We can
Yes.
vote between now and town meeting and do this verbally. The zoning board had not had had time or whatever to get in the warrant, but we have taken a vote, and it's X to Y.
I think that's probably going to be the way it is. So I think in the warrant, it should be reflected that we did not vote on it,
Right.
so that it doesn't have a negative inference to the public.
Yeah. No, I would hope that we could get behind all these changes, but I mean, common sense, as Mike says that you don't vote on something you haven't seen. And I would argue that if it was sent today, it was still too late to be seen. I got in at 5:30. I'm not going to read something in 15 minutes or whatever.
No, but I'm sending it to you now, so you have it.
All right. Well, I would make a motion to postpone a vote on articles, a vote of endorsement, or what's the opposite of endorsement? A vote on approving or disapproving Articles 4 and 5 until we're able to read the final text that's going into the warrant and discuss it. And that discussion could be done at our November, oh gosh, it's 14th. When is town meeting? Is the 13th?
Yeah, November 13th.
Well, Montana, you'll have to schedule another meeting.
Okay.
Anyway, that's my proposal. I'll make that motion. I don't know, Mike, Lee, and Charlie, if you agree with that or not.
I second that,
Oh,
Charlie
I-
Higginson.
And just so you know, I'm forwarding this from my Gmail work account, because that's where I can access the two things the judge sent today, and the only email I don't have in that database is Matt, so if somebody could forward it to Matt, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, but
Everybody-
you've copied Montana on this, I hope.
No, I copied just you guys at the moment. I
Why
don't
don't you
know that-
copy Montana, who can then, and she's obviously listening in, can forward it to Matt, so all board, the full board gets it.
All right.
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't have, in retrospect, we didn't give ourselves enough time to receive updated material and absorb it. But I mean, all is not lost, really. I mean, I think we can have another
Well,
meeting.
You know, my concern is that somebody will get up and nitpick us to death at town meeting.
Well, I think because we're gonna have another bite at the apple. I'm less, well, I mean, they can nitpick all they want, but.
No, I mean nitpick amongst your board.
Well, I don't know if sometimes the problem has been is that it's been sort of a take it or leave it proposition. This one is not, but I'm with Charlie in that I certainly don't want to approve
I
language that we disagree with. But if it's just a question of you know,
Yeah, I know. I perfectly understand. I'm looking at when the judge sent this. The judge sent it out at 5:30. But you know, she's a busy person. We're busy people.
right?
You know,
Well, it
I
would
can't- I
be it
can't
would have been
control it.
impossible to take.
I
a
can't
rush
control that. I can't control when we get the final.
I would not, I'm not accusing you of not failure to control. I mean, she sent it out late. And so we're just gonna have to do this again.
All right.
But
All righty.
We'll do it before town meeting. But,
Yep.
but if there's any further tweaks coming from the judge or your committee, just
No,
give
the
us a
plan-
heads up so we don't.
No, the planning board finished its votes last night, so we're done with that. There's the review of the select board. And I will tell you that the chair had some issue with dark sky, thinking it might have some adverse impact on their ability to do field lights in the future. We took care of that last night, at least we took care of it in the degree the planning board thinks is necessary to take care of it. And then, you know, I was told that maybe advisory isn't even going to get to us before town meeting, which I find shocking, but that's it, you know. This thing's going to the printer next Wednesday.
All right, well, we'll just have to do a floor announcement of how we voted.
Yeah, that's
And
fine.
the fact that we're not in the warrant as approving, 5-0 or 4-1 or whatever the hell it is not going to materially alter.
No, right, and if we know all of that ahead of time, when we do our introduction, we can say that. We can announce all the boards. I imagine at this point, I'm not gonna have the select board or the advisory committee in print in the warrant either.
Okay. Well, the select board were the ones who moved it forward, but I don't want to get into that. So I would make a motion to bypass a vote now. It's our intention, it's not a vote, but our intention is to have a quick Zoom meeting between now and town meeting to vote on either endorsing or refuting or whatever Articles 4 and 5. And the further part of that is that Montana will reschedule this meeting. There's no sense meeting at 7. We have a good quorum here. Or 7:30, I guess it was scheduled. We're gonna need a week at least to go over this stuff.
I mean, the only way it gets in the print if you meet before next Wednesday.
Well,
But I'm not gonna put, again, I don't think it's gonna fundamentally make a difference whether it's on a piece of paper or it's
yeah,
announced.
I don't think so either. So rather than set another Zoom meeting and not be able to make it or whatever else, I mean, I don't see any reason not to, but why don't we just agree that we're not going to have our vote printed in the warrant, but we will certainly be transparent in terms of where the board writ large came out. Okay, so I've made a motion to postpone any vote at tonight's meeting. Woody Chidick, aye.
Carl Higginson, aye.
Lee Darcey.
Michael Dickey, aye.
Okay, and I'd make a further motion that we have reschedule this meeting before town meeting, and if there's any further material, written material, I'll tack a week onto that before we meet.
I did receive Tom's email right now. So with all the proposals.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the two articles themselves, and then, the summaries that we presented at the planning board hearing last week, that's really going to be our presentation piece.
Yeah, I suspect the judge didn't realize that we were meeting tonight. She wouldn't have sent something out a half an hour before a board meeting.
I think I mentioned it last night, but it's just a question of her work schedule and being able to
Well,
do the update.
okay, and it's a question of our ability to receive and digest, so.
Yeah.
But now we have time. We can meet
Onward.
in weeks. And
I
Tom,
will
I
send out
appreciate
an-
your sitting in on this. I mean, it was a bit of a wild goose chase, but appreciate it.
I will send out an
Alright.
email tomorrow morning with dates and times for everyone to agree upon to have another meeting.
Okay. And why aren't we meeting, by the way, on the first Tuesday of November again? Is that a national holiday or something? Or did we think town meeting was going to be then and then it was postponed?
We thought it was going to be town meeting, so when Cassandra had ZBA, she when she made the schedule, she made it the 14th, but
Well,
turns
maybe
out
we could meet briefly again, 15 minutes max, or so, whatever's needed, I'll say, on November 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
November 7th.
November 7th.
As of right now, I don't see why not, but I'll send out an email
Okay,
tomorrow.
well, why don't you,
morning.
kind of sit on it? I mean, for, at least until tomorrow, double check, so we're
Yeah.
not running into conflicts with something else, but I don't know of any conflicts myself.
No.
Okay, so tentatively, we will meet on November 7th, a very brief Zoom meeting. Any material will be in our hands at least a week in advance of that meeting. If there are further tweaks, and if not, then we'll have had plenty of time to digest it, and we can have a discussion over issues that may be concerning to anyone.
And I just want to remind everybody that on Monday, October 23rd is when this public forum that the select board has set up about zoning.
Okay,
Which I believe is a hybrid meeting. I might be wrong.
What do you mean by that?
what's a hybrid?
Meaning Zoom and live, what we did with the planning board last
Oh.
week.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Oh, that's the
Yes,
7
that's the
p.m.
new term of art, hybrid. We're all hybrids now.
Okay, well, that's the 7 p.m. meeting.
Yeah,
Okay,
so that will be an unveiling, to the public at large of these things.
hey, Tom, it occurred to me based on the forums you had a year ago. I don't know if we can refuse to allow non-citizens to speak, but it would be helpful if the people who do speak, are citizens of Cohasset, as opposed to, I mean, we probably can't refuse.
Yeah, unlike the last go round, we've had zero input from developers and out of towners who were probably thinking of in comment here. We haven't heard word one from anybody. But
Okay, well, that's-
I'll talk to Chris and Jean about it because really it's their forum. We're just there to present something. So I don't know
And-
if they. I don't
And
know if
I
they
think
have
it was
faced that.
Charlie or somebody that made the point a year ago that if these people are in fact developers out of town, and this has more to do with town meeting protocol,
Yeah.
make darn sure we understand what their role in this thing is, as opposed to just standing up and saying, I've got a concern about XYZ or something.
Yeah.
But
I will tell you to give you a heads up on something that last night we had an A&R. And it's got a weird property line, they were dividing this, the new lot would have just 50-foot frontage and it'd be a pork chop. But they had a weird property line that had like an indentation in it, so it wouldn't be 50 feet wide through the entire pork chop. And the architect or whoever, the engineer who was there said, yeah, I kind of caught that earlier in your meeting. So,
well, yeah, so they really can't get approved.
well, yeah.
They can get approved, but they're not going to be approved for a buildable lot if they're in violation of the zone.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting thing, and about when the change in our definition of lot width is effective. I believe it. Once the AG approves it, it's retroactive to the day we notice the public hearing on it.
Right, the date that it's first posted, or whatever
Yeah.
you want to call it.
I mean, this lot had other challenges ahead of it to develop, but it was just like, not 5 minutes after we finished discussing this, but in the bylaw, up comes a project that might be impacted by it.
Yeah, and you guys have been much better in the last year or so, 2 years, with A&Rs of making sure the applicants understand the distinction between an A&R, which can be used to subdivide a lot, and what makes a lot legally buildable. There was a lot of confusion.
We also had to explain that to one of our members last night. Didn't get that. So,
keep at it.
yeah. And by
Okay, well, at any rate, I've made the motion and we voted to delay this, and why don't we shoot for that date in November 7th.
Okay. I'll send
Okay.
out an email tomorrow morning and I'm forwarding everything to Matt right now.
And in the interest of everybody, look at their calendars and think about potential conflicts, so we can, if the 7th presents a conflict with 1 or 2 people, we'll just pick another date. Okay,
Hey,
I appreciate your patience.
thank you for your time, guys. I appreciate it.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.
All right,
Wait.
bye-bye. Have a nice
Wait.
weekend, but it's not going to be, I guess.
Have we ended our meeting?
Yeah, I was gonna say you haven't adjourned.
Okay, well, I'd make a motion to adjourn.
We need a
Carl Higginson
motion.
Second.
Charlie seconded it. Woody Chidick, aye.
Carl Higginson, aye.
Lee Darcey.
Mike Dickey, aye.
Okay, beautiful.
Thank you
very
guys.
much.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right.